Hi, how are you? Good. I'm so excited to be here. As she said, my name is Laura Smith, and I'm the Director of Public Relations at Idaho Central Credit Union. I've worked there for about 12 years, and I love it. It's been so amazing. I have really, really high positivity, which I'm sure you're going to get a little bit of today, but that fits really, really well with our culture there. And so it's been just a great fit for me since I've been there. So today I'm going to talk to you about why I love my life and some exciting things that you can do to kind of, tweak your life a little. If there are things you want to be a little bit happier about or things you want to just change a little bit, we're going to kind of talk about all of that. So at first, I'm going to start with a little bit of a personal story. And I've actually never shared this story before, especially publicly. More with all of my friends. They all really know me, because I'm a talker, But about 8 years ago, I had a situation happen in my life that really tested my positivity. And I've always been a positive person. I've always been kind of the life of the party, and I always did the things that I was supposed to do, so nothing really traumatic had ever really happened in my life. So I was married, I owned my own home, had started a job, my career, and one day my husband came home and said that he wanted a divorce. And he said he had started a relationship with one of our best friend's wives. Yeah, little bit, not great. I knew that they were having problems, but I didn't know that we were having problems too. That was a shocker. So anyway, it was one of those times where I was like, okay, this is where it happens. This is where I have to pick myself up, start all over. But the worst part was probably that I had failed publicly. And I knew that all of my friends, all of my family, everybody in my life, coworkers, anybody, would know that I had failed at something, that I had committed everything that I had worked for in my life to. So that was a really big deal for me, and it took me a minute to just absorb getting over that and figuring that out. But here's the silver lining. It gets better from here. That's the not good parts. It gets better from here. So the day before I moved out of my home into an apartment, I went to Chinese food because I always go to Chinese food if I'm having a bad day. That's kind of my thing. Who else does that? People do that? I do that. And I got a fortune cookie that night that would change my life. There's a clicker right here. The fortune cookie read, "Remember 3 months from this date, good things are in store for you." And I was like, well, that's kind of interesting. And this is a true story. That is a picture of the true paper. Because when you get a fortune cookie like that, at a time like that, it's kind of like you take note, right? I wrote the date on the back. I'm a planner, so I put the date of 3 months from that day in my phone so I would remember. And I was like, it's true. It was kind of like that moment where I was like, okay, this is the hope that I needed. And I've always kind of liked fortune cookies. I've never really taken them that seriously, but what did I have to lose, right? So I put the date in my phone, and I thought, by then the divorce will be final. I'll be in my own really cute apartment, doing my own thing, and be getting through things. So 3 months from that day, 3 months pass, January 30th, I went out and I had really the best day. I went shopping, right? I went shopping, I went for a run, I got ready to go out with some friends that night, and it was a really great day, and I was like, you know what? That's true. I loved my fortune cookie. That was an amazing day. I'm super happy about it. So I went out with some friends that night and met some people that I hadn't met before, but they were friends of friends. And I ended up sitting next to this really, really cute guy, which I was like, whoa, that's weird. And we really hit it off, right? We really hit it off. We talked and laughed and danced, all night long. And I even had golf clubs in my car, and it's January, right? And he was a golf pro. And I was like, why do I hadn't golfed in like 15 years or something. It was really weird. So anyway, but I hadn't really dated before because my first marriage, I had married my high school sweetheart. So I hadn't really dated, so I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, right? But I knew, it was just an instinct, I think, not to tell him about the fortune cookie that night. I think that was probably a good choice. Because actually a year and a half after we met, I married him. And this is my husband, Ryan. And that's our little baby Carson. And he's actually here today. Did it come up? Let me get it. Oh, that's the kiddos. Well, you'll see it in a second when it comes up. So I married him. It's my husband, Ryan, and he came today, and I'm so happy that you're here. And we have 2 little kiddos. This is Carson and Cameron. This is, like a breakfast morning. Their hair's all messed up. But they are just like the happiest thing that could have ever happened in our lives. And so really what I decided through those months and through all of that time is that there are things that you can do, even in bad situations, to make yourself be happy and to love your life. And those are the things that I worked on through those months. And those are the things that I still work on, because no matter what it looks like, nobody's life is perfect, and everybody has challenges every day. But those are the things that I work on, and I'm going to share a couple of those things with you today, and hopefully there will be a couple of tips and tricks along the way that you can grab onto and find a couple new ways for you to love your life too. So the first one is that you're in control. We're going to go over a couple different ones. First one's you're in control of your attitude, your happiness, your life, how you react to things. No regrets, live without regrets. That's the second one. You don't want to hold yourself back. You want to focus on little things that make you happy and not beat yourself up. And really, the third one is cutting yourself some slack. Don't beat yourself up too much. Forgiveness of yourself and others along the way. So the one thing that I learned, I learned a lot with the divorce, but the one main thing I learned is that you cannot control another person. It was a long-term relationship, like 12 years. I thought I knew the person, but what it comes down to is you cannot control another person and their behaviors. But what you can control is the way that you react to things. Stephen Covey has a concept, and I know it's been popularized by Stephen Covey, but it's basically the circle of influence. And that's been a really big thing that I've focused on ever since I've heard of the circle of influence. But basically, there are things that you can control, and there's things that you can't control. So there's an exercise where you can divide out a piece of paper, and whether you want to do this right now at your tables, you're welcome to, or just kind of start the process in your mind. But basically, you divide it in half, and you put things you can control at the top and things you can't control at the bottom. And it's one of those things, it's a good practice, it's a good exercise to really get your mind through, identifying which things you can and can't control. So for example, you can't control gas prices, right? But you can control what kind of car you buy or how frequently you travel. You can't control the weather, but you can control what kind of clothes you wear or what kind of hobbies you like or where you live. So, there are things that you can control and things you can't. But whenever something comes into play that you can't control, figure out the things in your life that you can and then focus on those. There's a book that I would recommend as well that I've read, and it's called The Secret. And it really talks about how you think determines how your life will go, positively or negatively. If you tend to think positively about things, you're going to notice the good things in life. If you're thinking kind of negatively about things, those are going to be more obvious to you. So changing the way you think about things and focusing on those positive things is a great way to go about life. And actually, that book really talks through a lot of that. And so that's another idea for you. How many of you have the exact same interests as the people in your life that you love? Like the exact, all of them. I know I don't. And it doesn't really matter if you have the same interests or like the exact same things as everybody in your life. It just matters about how you choose to approach those things with those people. So, I'm going to give you an example, actually. This next one is my family. Again, because, I love my life. I love my fam. So, this is at WWE. Can you see that? Who's a really big fan of WWE? Yeah, that's my husband right there. He is. And so are the boys. And this is one of those things. I don't have the same interests, right? But I choose to engage with my family with WWE. So much so that we go to the events. We buy the good tickets. That's a hard investment for me. It's a hard investment, but we do it. I wear the shirt. It's neon, and it's one of the wrestlers. I made the signs. And I even posted this picture on Facebook. That's real commitment. That's real commitment. So, I'd even be on the edge of groupiness when I'm there too. But I get into it. That's the thing. So I choose that though, right? I choose that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to enjoy myself while I'm there, and I'm going to make the most of it, and I'm not going to drag anybody else down. My other choice would be to not go. I don't have to go. I kind of do that with video games and the boys at home. It's not really my thing, so they kind of do that, and I read a book or put on my eye patches that I have now. I'm pretty excited about those. So, you can choose whether or not you do it, and then, choose to be happy. Or there are people that choose to still go and then not be happy. I wouldn't recommend that one. It's not fun for really anybody, you, the people around, whatever. So there are a couple other things that you can control as well. If you are happy, I'm going back a little bit here. If you're happy, gratitude journals are a great thing to kind of focus on your happiness. I've tried doing that where in the morning you write down things that you're thankful for, or in the evening. And it really helps you focus on the things during the day that you might not have noticed as little happinesses or little pleasures. The other thing is concentrating on your strengths. When you concentrate on your strengths and focus on those and choose to do things that you're good at those things. You're going to succeed in those things. You're going to enjoy those things. And that's a choice to kind of focus on doing those kinds of things, whether it's in your work or in your life, the kinds of activities that you do. Let's see here. The second step that I'm going to cover here is living without regrets. My biggest thing is I hate when I'm I should have done that, but I hate that. My grandpa used to always say, I always like to talk about what I should have done. And I'm always yeah, I know, I hate talking about what I should have done. So living life without regrets is a big thing for me. I think one of the things that makes putting yourself out there and trying new things and living that life without regrets is a fear. It's a fear of being judged, a fear of screwing up, a fear that, other people might think something about us, like that you like WWE. But really, it's all about putting yourself out there and doing things that push you outside of your comfort zone. I did a workshop yesterday where we talked about what it takes to put yourself out there. And really, there were three things. It was, what kinds of things do you like? What kinds of things excite you? Or would you be willing to put yourself out there for? The next thing is finding a support group of people that like to do the same things as you, or that challenge you to do things outside of your comfort zone. And those are actually some of the funnest times. I'm just going to go back to WWE for just a second, but I have, even though I'm not a huge fan, I have the best time watching my boys there. And I kind of make the most of it. I'm like looking at the stage and the lights and the actors and the scripts. I'm trying to figure out other things while I'm there. But it distract myself. But really, it's kind of like, even though that's not my thing, it's choosing the people that you want to hang around, and then either choosing to do what they like to do or do similar interests. And then the third step on not having regrets is actually taking the risk and doing it and putting yourself out there. One of the things I was worried about when I talked about the divorce earlier was that, people were going to see that I had failed. Well, people are worried about all of their own stuff too. And now, and I mean, it's 8 years later now, but I mean, for years now, it's been that so many people never even knew that happened. They never knew that I had been married before, that I had this crazy situation that went down, you know what I mean? And even the people who do know that, it's almost like even to me, it's almost like it never happened. And it's something that people let go of, and so you should be able to kind of, let that go. And I don't regret it. I don't regret my first marriage. I made good choices to be there. I was excited to be there. I thought I was happy. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what worked and what didn't work, what I would do differently. And so even though things sometimes fail, not being regretful and looking in the past about those things keeps your mind focused on the positive things going forward. So kids live like this, right? Kids live in this way that they don't really care. They don't really care what's going on. This little guy is my son, and I'm sure a picture will come up here in just a second. This is Cameron. And these are the kind of photo shoots we have at our house. Can you see it? Yeah. Oh, yeah. He just doesn't care. What he's going to do what he wants to do, when he wants to do it. And as he says, right here, right now. He probably got it from wrestling. I don't know where he got it. He's like, I want to do that. I want to do that right here, right now. Well, how can you argue with that? So, but finding that inner child, finding that I want to do it, so I'm going to do it. And just going for it. Yeah, I like it. Just putting yourself out there. Another thing that's awesome is that laughter, so even if you screw up, you can make fun of it, right? Or just laughter in general. When you laugh 15 minutes a day, you burn enough calories to lose 1 to 4 pounds a year. It's like the best diet ever. And I think for the 2 days that we've been here at this conference, we're racking up the laughs. And the comedy show is tonight. It's like an extra rep of abs. I don't know. I didn't plan to do sit-ups up here or anything. But I mean, laughter, not taking yourself too seriously, it makes a big, big difference in the way that you approach life. And I learned a lot from a lot of the speakers yesterday, talking about putting yourself out there, telling your story, not being afraid to stand up here. And that was so helpful for me before I had to do this today. But really, I mean, you have a story to tell. You shouldn't be afraid of what everybody thinks about you. I love concentrating on little things as well. I couldn't have been more happy than yesterday when I came from the Hampton to here, and I just happened to ask at the front desk if they had an umbrella because it was raining and I didn't have one. And I was like, this is a long shot. But they did, and they gave it to me, and I was like, this is the best day of my life right now. I appreciate the little things a lot. Really nothing makes me happier than a new box of colored Sharpies. And everybody that knows me knows that. I love Sharpies or any kind of colorful pens or pencils. I love them. But concentrating on the little things make up the big things. It's like a mosaic. The little things in your life are what's going to make up the big things. And people come up with their bucket lists all the time, which are awesome. But a lot of times we just think of putting big things on that bucket list, big trips that we want to take, things that are really going to push us to do some major planning and to get there. But the little things should be on that list too. Things like seeing a bear in the wilderness. That's one of mine. It's weird, I know. But I just want to see a bear in the wilderness, so I keep my eyes peeled because it's on the list. Also, wearing one of these. I've always kind of wanted to wear one of these, and I never have before. So Women's Ignite has really made that dream come true for me. I was worried about what it was going to sound like, but it's nice. And thanks to Zach back there. He's the one who hooked me up, too, so he's a good guy. So these are the little things, Think of the little things and concentrate on them. They're easy to mark off your list. They're easy to find ways to do and have successes for. So that's really, really, really fun. So today, actually, I put green papers. Actually, my friend Ashley helped me. She put green papers on all of the tables here and pens. And I started this yesterday. It looks like trash, but it's not. It's very valuable. We started it in the class yesterday about things that you want to do in your life that you haven't done yet, or some action that you want to take so that you don't have a regret, whether it's, I want to go skydiving, or I want to buy new Sharpies. So this, I'm going to call it our Women's Ignite Conference bucket list. And make sure you put your name and phone number or email address on there too, because I'm going to do a drawing for 5 gift cards afterwards. So I'll put this bucket back towards the vendor area, and we can kind of drop your cards in there. I'll remind you later too. But once you write things down, that's another thing that makes you be successful. Writing down something that you have always wanted to do, whether it's on a bucket list, in your journal, on this little green piece of paper, it helps you think about it and do it. I always love the thought of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Whether you would have been really good at it or enjoyed it, you don't know. Whether you would have failed, it might. But what if you swish it? What if you nail that shot and it's something that you were afraid to try, but you were really, really good at and you loved it? The last topic that I want to kind of hit on too is cutting yourself some slack. When we screw up, when things don't go as you plan, it's okay to forgive yourself. It's okay to forgive yourself, but it's important to forgive others too. And I know we talk about forgiveness a lot, but it does go back to the first step of choosing your happiness. And if you're holding on to something or a grudge or something that's happened, it's holding you back from the happiness that you are capable of and the happiness that you can shoot for in your life. So forgiveness is the last step. Of course, if something bad happens, you should learn from it. Figure out what happened if you can. Look for ways to not have that happen again. But when bad things happen, you can let them go. They're gonna, bad things happen all the time. We can make choices to say, okay, that happened. I'm done. Pushing that away, and I'm gonna move forward. So if there's something that you've been holding on to for a really long time too, this is another action thing that I would challenge you to do as we leave here today, is to think about something that you've been holding on to that has been kind of bugging you. Whether it's something that you did or said to somebody, or it's something that somebody else did to you or that affected you in some way. Deciding today, making note of it and saying, you know what? It could take a while. But, I want to move forward from that. And I don't want that to hold me down anymore. I want to let it go. Every time I say let it go, I think of Frozen and Elsa. I won't sing it, though. It's fine. So, ever since that day, 8 years ago, when I got that fortune cookie, when something tests my happiness, I focus on those things that we just talked about of choosing to be happy, not living in the past, not having regrets about things, either missing out on something or doing something or not doing something, no regrets. And looking for ways to forgive myself and stop beating myself up over things. And it's still a challenge. It's not like, ta-da, and I do this all the time perfectly. I beat myself up just as much as, everybody does from time to time. But just being aware of it and stopping myself when it happens it's a big deal to me. And deciding that I just want to move on with things. Sometimes I feel like I have the worst memory in the world on bad things, which is really a blessing. I don't know how that happened, but I halfway can't remember even bad things that happen. I think it's some kind of a choice. I don't know. It must be some kind of a choice filing in my brain. So these last two things, as we leave today, letting go of one thing, figuring out what that is, identifying it for yourself, stepping outside of your comfort zone, writing that down on these pieces of paper, putting them in here, which I'll keep up here, or we'll put it over by the vendor area again. Don't forget to put your contact information. I don't know if I said that the gift cards are for P.F. Chang's, obviously, Chinese food. You never know when you might need it. So when all else fails, we have one more thing here. Share it with me too, actually. If there are things that you do that are big successes, and not just me, it's the whole WICON group, the Women's Ignite community that we have here now. Share it with us. There's all the hashtags that have been going on. If you do something that really makes a difference in your life, put it out there. It doesn't have to have all the details or any names or anything like that. You can change the names to protect the innocent. But put it out there. Celebrate these things when they happen. Or call me or email me or something like that. We would love to hear what it was like for you when you push yourself outside of your comfort zone. But when all else fails, go to Chinese food and pay a little extra attention to your fortune cookie. So thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks.